script.
Do you want mine?
No, I don't. I
I'll
just
swap
need to,
you.
I need to get this. I can't get my
I'm pretty good.
board up.
Let's see. I'm good. How about if you keep yours, Heather?
Would you?
I'm pretty familiar. So,
Okay.
Took a bite.
okay.
Okay, we ready?
Oh, we got it up here too.
I call this meeting to order and I'd like to welcome everyone joining us in person and via live stream. Thanks for being here. All of our board members are present with the exception of Jim Facer, who's excused, and Miss Angie Oliver, who's joining us by phone. And the purpose of the work session is to receive operational reports from the administration. And we'll begin with the presentation from the high school leadership teams on fentanyl awareness initiative.
I wanted to introduce these students and provide some context for why they're here with us today. So last fall, Pocatello Mayor Brian Bladd and Pocatello Police Chief Roger Shai visited with the district's high school leadership teams. And Ms. Wilkes and I accompanied them on these presentations, and just we're really excited at how the students grasped a hold of the idea, brainstormed ideas for how the whole intent is for peers sharing with peers the dangers of fentanyl. And so Tanya and I both offered our services for anything that they needed as they developed their ideas. And Century's leadership advisor, Ms. Meg Fleshman, has kept in really close contact with both Tanya and I over the course of the year, sharing what the students have come up with and the activities that they've had planned. And while I could have easily shared this with you in my monthly report, I thought it's always more powerful, impactful when our students, when we hear directly from them what they're doing. And so I invited them here today to share with you some of the plans that they've come up with and what they've been doing and what they have planned continuing throughout the year. So being informed and working together, we can better provide the critical resources and supports to help keep our students healthy and safe. And I really appreciate their creativity, their innovation, and their insight, and their willingness to take this leadership on this issue. So at this time, I would like to invite Century High School leadership students Bryn Nilsson and Olive Ashcroft to share their presentation with you. Thank you. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Hi, my name is Olive Ashcraft, and I'm a sophomore at Century High School, and with me I have my partner Bryn. And over the past couple months, we've been working through some ideas and activities on how we can bring awareness to fentanyl in our area. Okay, so many months ago, like Courtney said, Mayor Bladd and a couple others came to CHS Student Council, which is a class that we have, and they addressed the drug issue that has been taking over the city of Pocatello. And destroying our schools. So we have noticed students on overdoses. And so he asked our student leadership class on new ideas and actions to help solve the problem. So we knew there had to be a change, but we weren't sure where to start. In order to understand what we needed to accomplish, I realized we must put in some research. So we spent hours reading news articles, looking at videos, studying different types of studies, and looking at all these reports and trying to decide how we can make a change. And that's kind of where everything started. So what we've done as of now, so we received the posters from the Mayor's Youth Council, and we hung them up around our schools. We hung them up in bathrooms, in libraries, in our cafeteria, and in common places where kids and like teachers and staff will see these posters. Then we changed our marquee, and if you don't know what that is, it's our little letterboard that's in front of our school. We changed our marquee to have phrases that say certain things and little catchphrases. So we used fentanyl equals fatal, we used don't do drugs, and then we also put be safe on the back. Next, we got in contact with our SRO, Officer Johnson. He's not here today. And we kind of discussed to him that we would like to interview the Chief of Police for more information, because we felt as if it'd be more impactful to talk to the Chief of Police than our friendly SRO, because we love our SRO, but sometimes it gets like really friendly. And so we thought bringing in the chief of police would add that seriousness back in. And so really quickly, we showed up to class and the chief of police was in there. And so we put together some interview questions and we interviewed him. And I'm pretty sure that video is on the sd25.us/fentanyl page. It's that interview. And so that is just us asking him some questions, and he gave us more information and insight about it. Next, we put that video in TA, and along with that video, we also found news reports and news articles and other videos that we put in a TA doc and showed to all TA, because every Monday, students meet in TA for about 20 minutes, and so we watched some of these videos in TA and had the TA teachers ask the students some questions about the videos to make sure they were comprehending the information. And then our big project we had been working on for a while and discussing and planning was presenting to the middle schools. So we reached out to all 4 middle schools, but the ones that got back to us were Irving and Hawthorne. And so we hope to get to Franklin and Alameda later, but we went and presented to Irving and Hawthorne. So the 2 of us, we were in collaboration with Pokey Student Council, and they reached out, and so we did a collaboration. So we took the Mayor's Youth Council presentation, and the Pokey kids added some pictures and videos to it, and we added a few more slides to that and made it a little bit more child-friendly to kind of adjust those to be more middle school centered, I guess. And on March 15th, we went to Irving Middle School and we presented a presentation, and we had games and activities. We had the drawing activity, we had this Kahoot game, and we had this physical game activity with this Fruit Loop thing. And we did that each hour for every class. And then over at Hawthorne, they did an assembly. I'm not quite sure how that one went, but yeah. And then on this presentation, that bottom Google Docs link is the link to our original brainstormed ideas, and some which we've done already and some which we haven't done. So yeah, like I said earlier, this was like the middle school PowerPoint and what was on it. The Pokey kids altered a few things from the Mayor's Youth Council presentation and made it a little bit more child-friendly. And so if you want to look at that altered presentation, that's that first link. And then we also had a Kahoot activity. And if you don't know what Kahoot is, it's like this little game thing, and it asks you questions, and kids answer them, and they have to try to earn points and stuff. And so when we went and presented to the middle schools, we played that game for them to kind of buy time and teach them. These are a few of the pictures from when we got to present to the middle schools. So to me and Bryn are in the middle of the one picture, and then to the right and the left, we have kids from Pokey. That was Neela and Ethan. And then a couple of the other Pokey kids, unfortunately, they had to leave. And then the top picture is kids eating the fruit by the foot things. And so we had this activity where like they had to time how fast they could eat the fruit by the foot without touching it with their hands. And then we kind of like related to that to like however long it took them to eat that fruit by the foot was how long it would take them to die of a fentanyl overdose if they had taken it. And so we kind of related that and tied it all back in. And then that bottom picture is a picture we took with 2 of the classes we taught at the end of the day, and they're just all making silly faces, and it was really fun, and I feel like we learned a lot. The next slide's just more pictures. This is one of the kids we had named Cody, who did the Fruit by the Foot challenge. And then there was the Pokey kids and us presenting our little presentation. And then here is a student resource officer, Officer Bowman, I'm pretty sure, and he kind of pitched in and gave some of his insight while we were presenting. This is a video of the kids just doing the little game, but we also had a drawing activity at the end where we asked the middle schools on what we could do better next time, and we wanted feedback on how we could do better. And then we also asked them if they would help us maybe design a t-shirt design or come up with more slogans to bring awareness. And this was one of the better ones we got, and so some kid wrote "One pill can kill," and then "Say no to fentanyl," and so that was just one of the t-shirt designs we got, but we got so many good ones. So that was what we've done, but now we are to the now what? What can we do now? And so our next idea was to get bracelets. And so this is a design of what the bracelets could look like, but we could switch it up. But as I was doing it, I found out like the average cost for about 7,000 of them, which is quite a few, would be about $900 to $1,200 depending on what we wanted to put on them and how we wanted them to look. But we discussed about adding the sd25.us/fentanyl link. So if we wanted to add that, we could add it on the inside or we could put it on the outside. But if we added it on the inside, it costs about 5 cents more per bracelet. So it's really what we want to do on how to design them. Yeah, so that's just kind of where we are now on trying to get those ordered. And from what I understand, we got accepted for $500, and then each high school planned on donating between $100 and $200 to go towards that. So yeah, many drug addictions are starting sooner than we realize, and that's why we went to the middle schools, because we wanted to get to the root of the problem, to bring awareness towards the issue. It's a simple way, making bracelets is a simple way for kids to comprehend. That's why bracelets can be an easy reminder when they just look down at their wrist or at their backpack or wherever they're putting them, because there's you look everywhere and kids have these little silicone bracelets everywhere. And so it's just an easy reminder of something I feel like a kid would actually use instead of a poster. Because I know so many posters just get vandalized or ripped down or not even looked at. And so I feel like these bracelets would be an easy reminder. So yeah, for about 7,000 of them, it would cost somewhere between $900 to $1,200. But I think the overall cost would be worth it, hopefully to bring awareness. And that's all we have for you today.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.
That was, sounds like you've done a lot of work, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Wow.
I'll show the address. They have their presentation on the website, and then the Ed Foundation is donating $500 toward those bracelets.
Wow.
With the promise, and you guys can share this, of more if they need more, if it's an additional cost. So,
That's fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again. Next on the agenda is the district medical emergency response teams, which will be presented by Tanya Wilkes.
This is a good follow-up to our presentation, but we had some concerns and thoughts from our SROs and administrators with the administration of Narcan if we do find a student that has been exposed to fentanyl. We do not have a policy currently that would allow us to do that because right now we cannot administer any medical medication at this time. So we are looking to respond not only with changing policy, but maybe changing procedures a little bit and forming what we call the medical emergency response team, where they would have 3 to 5 members at each school. We would provide and have training with CPR, AED, first aid, and then training with the intranasal naloxone, so that our administrators and response team and that team would be made up of what administrators would deem who would want to be a part of that. So it'd be volunteer basis at that school level, and then make sure that the policy follows and procedures follow those recommendations so that we can house Narcan at the school and provide it if needed.
Do we have AED machines in the
Yes,
schools?
we do.
That's what I thought.
Mhm.
But then who knows how to use those?
There's actually instructions on it.
On
And it talks to you while you're doing
There
it.
you go.
But that would be part of it. The CPR,
Mhm.
AED, first aid, it'd be all encompassing. When you administer Narcan, you actually are doing CPR.
Mhm.
So it wouldn't make sense to have those combinations.
Do we know, do other school districts do it yet? Have we heard, do we know?
They're in the middle of it. So each school district has different, I guess you could say, combination of response teams.
Mhm.
Right now, West Ada is currently putting in the policy, and we're working with our nurses hand in hand on what this will look like because they're the experts. And they're working right now with, they have a nurse in every school, so they don't need to have the whole team respond. They have the SRO and the nurse, so they don't have this team put together.
Gotcha.
And everybody's a little bit different, so I want to just definitely answer any questions you guys have or concerns or thoughts that you're thinking of, because as we put this together, we'll definitely have legal look at it, make sure that we're following what we need to follow in that avenue.
It's just
I-
unfortunate we have to do it, but
Yes.
I
I'm
agree, it's
really,
something-
yeah, I'm really glad that anything that can quicken the response, and it's not, I think it's something that people at every school could be trained to do. Some people are already trained to,
I'm glad,
In
really
the-
glad to feel, I'm glad that how you guys feel, because that's
yeah.
exactly where we're at. We want to be responsive, and unfortunately, that's where we're at
where
today.
we're at.
I think it would be really sad if a teacher who knew CPR and could have administered it if somebody died, and they could have, all they needed was an Narcan or the naloxone.
Yeah, intranasal naloxone. Am I saying it right,
Naloxone.
Kendra? Kendra's my nurse back
Um,
here.
Yeah, if that's all they needed and they had the rest of the skills, that would be really sad
Mhm.
to not be able to save their life.
So Tanya, we talk a little bit about Pocatello Police Department, they're carrying it, city, what they're doing.
So they,
More insight.
they see the concerns community-wide. So all of our school resource officers have been trained, and they are currently carrying Narcan. It's actually going to be over the counter really soon if it isn't already, and it's being, distributed free right now. But right now, the city actually brought in all of their workers and trained them in this intranasal naloxone, and so they see the importance of it could save a life within minutes. It isn't something that you wouldn't call 911 and do all of that as well, but it definitely gives them time. So yes, they're seeing it citywide being used, and unfortunately too often.
Right.
Has the response from the school been good?
They're the ones that actually asked me
That's
to, they want to put it in right now, and I said, we got to stop. We got
Yeah.
policy and procedure in place. It is a big undertaking, and so
Really?
that's why, we felt like it shouldn't be staff whole-wide being trained. It should be a team that, is willing to take this on and be ready to be trained and stay on top of the training. So each year, we'll make sure that we're being very prepared.
Mhm.
And really, I mean, a lot of people could do it at every school if there's a lot of interest. because
Absolutely.
they're
3 to
out-
5 would be the minimum.
They're out in the
Absolutely.
community too, so
Yep.
that's great. I love
And we do have the SROs there. I mean, the more, the better. But again, it's definitely a volunteer basis, and we'll support that.
Also, would you just do kind of a blanket parent permission form that everybody just gets emailed that say, if there's a situation that this could save a life, would you be willing?
I
Would
don't
you
know
just
if
do
we
kind of
would
something like
need a
that?
signature, and I will definitely look into the legal, but we definitely will communicate, just like anything that we've done. We want the community to understand our why, and what, we want to hear their concerns in that response.
And really, as we put this together, that's why we would bring it to the board to talk about exactly how we implement, whether it would be opt-in, opt-out. I mean, Good Samaritan laws would play into it,
Mhm.
certainly. But, yeah, we would want that parent component. We would want the board's direction on how we do it once we figure out the details, if you will.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. All
Mhm.
right. Anybody else? Thanks, Tanya.
You bet.
Okay. Spanish materials. Amy Bowie.
I'm excited to give you a report on the Spanish materials adoption and where we are in that process. On March 29th, we had our first meeting. Let me refresh your memories a little bit, because I'm sure you have a hard time keeping track of all this stuff. So we had decided that the teachers, remember, they were using a Vista program, Panorama, in the dual credit courses, so they wanted to start by just exploring one program rather than multiple programs to see how that went. And so principals put out emails to parents to get volunteers, and actually we got 3 volunteers. And so we brought one teacher from each high school, and we brought them to the table and we met with parents for about a half hour before the publisher presentation, because they had had time to look at the materials online and ask them what their thoughts were, what their questions were, to make sure we got them addressed during the presentation, what they were looking for. And they offered, it was really a pretty productive conversation. I thought it was interesting to watch the teachers. I think the teachers were kind of not surprised, but interested in what the parent perspective was. And I'll give you just like one example. The parent perspective of, gosh, I was looking through all this stuff, and my student says he gets so much interactive opportunity in Spanish, and I'm afraid that now they'll just sit behind a computer because a parent hasn't had the opportunity oftentimes to look at a digital platform and how much it has to offer. And so then the teachers had time to say, oh no, we use these for direct instruction, we use it for small group, we still use our instructional strategies. So there was good conversation throughout. So we listened to them for about the first 30 minutes on what their initial reactions were to the program. Then we had the publisher presentation, and we made sure that the publisher addressed their questions. And then we had another 30-minute dialogue after, and came to consensus. So I'll share with you the memo that I sent. The High School Spanish Adoption Committee reviewed materials, participated in a publisher presentation, and conducted an evaluation of the materials. The committee was able to reach consensus and is recommending for adoption to Subre 2022 by Vista Higher Learning. The total cost of the adoption is $103,947.65 and is within the secondary textbook budget. So the administration recommends that the Board of Trustees adopt the high school Spanish materials as presented by the High School Spanish Materials Adoption Committee at the regularly scheduled board meeting next Tuesday.
In the program, I thought, I liked it. It looked really good, and I thought that's a good way to learn Spanish.
Right? It was engaging. There were videos, and same thing with those videos. They talked about, like, you don't just show the video that's 3 minutes. You stop and you talk and you let them interact, and then you push play again. So it was just, I think it was, I felt really good about it. I thought it went really well.
Yeah, it was good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you.
All right.
Next on the agenda is a policy and procedure revisions.
I'm not sure which one you guys have first or second, but I'm going to start with the homebound instruction policy and procedures. And we're just changing procedures, and this is what we've been doing for homebound for the last couple of years since we purchased an online program that could be used for homebound. And so our policy was behind, and we needed to clean it up. So that's the cleanups. We no longer have a homebound teacher that goes to their house or to the library to meet with them. They can meet online, or the teacher of record for the class that actually knows the subject meets with the student. So it's cleanup for procedure. And then the second one is our policy for extracurricular activities. And the policy itself has Holt Arena graduation fee. Well, we may or may not be doing graduations at Holt Arena, so we would just like to call that graduation fee instead of, so that we can rent wherever we need to. And then that's it for policy. And then in the procedures, again, we're changing that Holt Arena fee to graduation. And then below it, the PSAT test for juniors, that's an absolute pass-through cost. And they've raised their prices from $15 to $18, so we're going to change that to $18. And then the last one is for illegal parking tickets for our students, and that will be a $10 instead of a $5 ticket. So that will be up for first reading.
Explain to me, so homebound, that's for medical?
Medical homebound. If there is a
Medical.
medical reason that they need to be at home and cannot come to school, and it has to be signed off by a doctor and it's usually a maximum of 6 weeks.
Gotcha.
So sometimes we extend that if necessary, but usually it's a maximum of 6 weeks.
Oh, it says, oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think too, what's changed with that is the virtual platform.
Yes, absolutely. Yep, when we purchased our virtual platform, we no longer had to have somebody go to the school, pick up work, bring it over once a week, spend a half an hour explaining a week's worth of work,
Yeah.
and then coming back a week later and picking it up and bringing more. And the turnaround time was extensive. So 6 weeks of learning, didn't get 6 weeks of learning with that. So when we can put them onto an Apex class, they can actually get a class, email a teacher, visit with the teacher, get the help they need instead of waiting a week.
And then is
So-
the teacher of record, is that typically who they would return to? So they, or is that someone that's just been assigned?
It's usually somebody that's been assigned, but it's somebody who has a credential in that area, or is teaching that type of class, so.
Okay.
I'm just worried about the participation fees because it makes a lot of kids not be able to participate. Is there a way to communicate to them that the foundation, I know that it's not something that they want every student to know about because then a lot,
Mhm.
but I disagree with that because I would so much prefer if there's an because I know students, I know for sure firsthand that students, maybe their parent will say you can only do one
Mhm.
thing, or you can't do.
Mhm.
And there are a lot that don't, and I'm just wondering if there's a way to put that out there so that everyone, and it doesn't have to be, oh, if you can't afford it. It can just be if you would like to apply for a scholarship. It could be on a need basis. It could just be if you want to apply for a scholarship, you can get a scholarship. And then, of course, it would have to be need-based.
And the
but
scholarship would come from
The foundation.
Ed Foundation?
Yeah, they said that they do pay for kids' activity fees. I
Some.
mean, for sports activity fees
Mhm.
of kids that can't
Some,
afford.
yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Is there a way to make that more
That's-
accessible?
That's not
to-
me, but I believe that,
Tanya,
Is there a way to make that
can you
more
come
accessible?
up and talk about the Reams Memorial, or how kids might be able to access
for
these,
scholarships.
yeah,
Because I asked
scholarship opportunities?
I asked the hospital, I mean, I'd ask like people, they would pay for it too. Like, I'll
So-
ask them.
So the hospital, we try not to reach out for sponsors for them just because Portneuf does the trainers and a big donation so that they don't get hit up all the time. So we're pretty specific about that. But all of our athletic directors, we have the John McCarthy golf tournament in the summertime that Lookout Credit Union provides
Oh, yeah.
for us, and those are funds for scholarships. And so is the Brian Reams and the Ed Foundation. We have funds available, but we usually let the coaches know, and the coaches can help with identifying those athletes or the communication at those parent meetings so that it's very private.
Yeah,
And
I
very-
don't, my only problem with that is that coaches really don't know the financial situation of kids. They can guess, just like anybody else can guess, but you really don't know.
So
Because it
how
might
can
be
we
a
get that
situation.
information out there more is what you're
Yeah,
asking?
that's all I'm wondering, because once a kid comes out for a sport and then they say, I can't afford the fee, well, that's easy. What about the kids that don't ever even try? Because they know that they will not be able to afford the fee. Is there a way to communicate that to them so that, because I really don't think it's going to be a humongous overload of people wanting to do this. I think it's going to be people that are serious about it, that want to do
So-
this.
Yeah, and we could do more of a little bit of a campaign of just, make sure you're participating, because we really do talk about kids being involved in school, and money should never, ever be an issue. We have the back to school night. We could advertise that a little bit more, make
say,
sure that you
call it-
don't, right,
A scholarship instead of,
But-
if you need money,
yeah.
call it a scholarship instead. Just say it can be need-based if you feel that
There's always
you can't afford it,
opportunities.
or you can just apply for it.
But we do have connections with our CRWs, our counselors and so forth that have all of that information. And even at my DDRCs, one of their goals is to go back and be involved, and we always indicate that do not let funding be an issue. We will find supports for you. So we're always verbalizing it, if you will, and identifying that and making sure those kids, but we wouldn't
Then
be
you hear
against
about
having a
these kids
campaign.
that don't, and I just think, gosh, just to make sure everybody gets that information and not just targeted at the kids that they think need the information. Just if everybody could have that information. Because it can even be a family that is well off, but hit a hard time, and nobody would
Right.
know that.
Right.
That kind of thing, or that the
And maybe
parents just
even
say
on our
only one's
social
for it.
media type with the website, just here's, reach out to your counselor, any adult, and let them
Because-
know, and they could connect you to resources.
Yeah, just to let everybody know, these activities are for everyone.
Well,
It's
we
regardless
agree.
if you can
We
afford
agree.
it or not, it's for everyone.
Mhm.
I think
Anyway,
we can
thank
take care
you.
of that in the announcements when we say a season will begin,
Mhm. That would be
tryouts,
great.
open gyms,
Yeah.
whatever. We could just say scholarship opportunities available.
That would
See-
be
Yeah,
great.
see the coach or counselor.
Yeah, just.
Something like
Which
that.
I
no
think they
one-
do, but
Yeah,
and
we'll
I
just
think we'll just make
firm it
sure
up.
that it's part of the
And that-
campaign. Yep.
Yeah, that means that if you can't afford it or your parents want you to pick one sport, don't let that stop you. We want you to come. Or something. I don't know. I just worry about the kids, so.
Yeah.
But thank you.
I appreciate
think that's great.
Okay, and then, so high school graduation plans, we are continuing with those. All 4 high school graduations will be at the Portneuf Wellness Complex this year. And we met with, no snow, no rain, no snow, no rain. No wind, yes.
Snow might be an option.
We met with the Bannock County Sheriff and the Pocatello Police Department and talked about security and what, because it's in Bannock County, it's not, so Pocatello Police can support Bannock County, but Bannock County is in charge of it. And so we met with them, and we have a contract with them to provide security for our graduations. We spread them out just a little bit, so I'm sorry your day's going to be just a little bit longer, but first graduation's at 10 o'clock in the morning. So it'll be 10, 2, and 6. And that way it gives enough time for people to come into the parking lot and leave the parking lot and come back into the parking lot. The high school principals and myself are going to visit some more about it on Thursday, but the plan is that the gates won't open until an hour before graduation. So hopefully people aren't showing up 3 and 4 hours early and
Yeah.
sitting in the parking lot or sitting in the, we'll see.
Wait, and
but-
then New Horizons, when will they have their graduation?
New Horizons is on the 31st,
31st, okay.
and that's in the evening at 7 o'clock.
7 or
6 o'clock. I knew as soon as I said I was wrong. 6 o'clock.
Can I ask, can we get those sent out
30
early? I mean, as soon as, did you send those to us yet, the appointment? To put them on the
Graduation.
calendar, the graduation dates and times?
So, okay.
Okay.
Yep. So New Horizons is at 6 o'clock on the 31st, and then all the rest of them are on the 1st of June.
Okay.
Okay? We've been talking about where handicap parking will be and where staff parking will be, and we're finalizing those ideas. Right now, handicap parking will be where you guys park for New Horizons and you come through that double gate, that whole roadway there, when Portneuf Wellness Complex has an event, they designate that as handicap parking, and so that's our plan, and we'll be having somebody at the bottom of the hill there filtering. So if you don't have a handicap sticker, I'm sorry, this is designated for, and when it's full, it's full. But we were also going to, the fairgrounds parking lot will be open, and the overflow parking lot to the south of the wellness complex. So the main parking lot, and if you go south, there's the fairgrounds. Next to the fairgrounds, between the parking lot and the riding arena, there's a big parking spot there. That will all be open.
Kind of like for soccer field
Uh-huh,
parking.
yep, exactly. And we're going to have buses run from the fairground parking lot up to the main parking lot, dropping people off and just making a big loop, and we'll probably have 3 buses just going constantly. So if people park in the fairground parking lot, they don't have to walk all the way over, they just wait for the bus, get on right over, take it back. So if it's a nice day, it's a nice walk, but sometimes that's a long ways for people too, so. But we will do the best we can to accommodate parking, but it's gonna be busy, and we all know it. So,
Will you have any more details about the security? Because I'm just curious, even if it's just like a little memo or something to explain what they're
I
going to do.
can give you guys that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the Bannock County or whatever.
Mhm, yep.
'Cause I really like to know, like,
Yep.
what
Um,
are they going to do?
Some of that, we don't want everybody to know.
Right.
But yes, I can get you guys an idea of where they're gonna be and what's gonna be going on, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Can't believe we're here already.
I know.
Awesome.
And then we have
May
to talk about security
weeks
so
away.
much.
Well,
Makes me really
and,
sad.
and I will tell you that even at Holt Arena, we had the same amount of security. It was just done by Pocatello Police, and it's supposed to be quietly going on without drawing attention, and that's what security should do. And so we've always had pretty high security at our graduations because it is a huge gathering of kids and
It
families.
is.
And
Are you
so,
gonna
This
have-
is harder because you've got chain link fence.
Yeah, are you gonna have like water? I mean, on the.
for you guys,
rare
yes.
chance. Well, you know what I mean? I mean, if we're gonna be out in the sun, not just us, but I mean, other people, is there gonna
There'll be some stuff.
knock
yeah.
on wood, it's gonna be an amazing,
Yes,
beautiful
it's
weather.
gonna be a beautiful day.
Is that the kind of stuff?
So-
We
Yeah.
might need space heaters
Yeah.
instead of
I'm
water.
bringing
Stop it.
water. I'm gaming on
So.
good weather.
Yeah, we'll plan for the worst and hope for the best.
Yeah.
PV Tech,
Okay. Jonathan?
come on up. You want me to bring up any of them up on
I believe.
Yeah.
there? Yours.
Are you sure? Okay, sounds good. Okay, so we're progressing nicely.
I
with
need
the-
you to put like Home Depot or.
Okay, so, yeah, so,
You didn't get the
Makes
north
no
one there yet,
sense to
did
me.
yeah, no,
I gotta get my
I
bearings.
wrote on mine, So again, north will be to the top left, Home Depot will be, top left,
So when you're looking at this, where?
so let me, yeah.
Make that first. Home Depot.
So, yeah, there you go.
Calvary.
You see this one here? I've written
Okay.
on it.
There we go.
With the
Yep.
3 shrubs in front,
Yep,
or trees,
correct. Is Home Depot, correct.
okay?
So you're kind of looking at this from the
Really needs
southwest.
to be like this way.
So the apartments are over here, Cow
Yes.
Ranch. Home
Correct.
Depot.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
We will make sure these are a little bit
And then the cow ranch is over here,
Cow Ranch
that right?
is
to
Oh,
the
no, no.
top right,
On the right
Yeah.
side.
There, here.
top right.
top.
Yeah, I think.
You're
pointing to the
right,
same
that's where it
probably.
is.
Right?
Yeah, we'll make
Yeah.
sure,
Oh,
and we can
yeah.
even write
Cow ranch.
on these
Okay.
too. I should have done that.
I
Yeah,
got it.
even on
I
the,
think we're all good.
if the architect doesn't do that, we can definitely write on that better for next time. Again, these are hot off the presses. We just got these attached this morning. The main thing with this first one, again, that main entrance to the building is going to be that courtyard, right, you'll see right the center at the bottom picture there. Okay? And so that'll be the main entrance there, right close to the bus stop with a little courtyard up front there. And then the next two pictures are almost like you're walking now towards Home Depot, Cow Ranch and the mall. And you'll see kind of the additional building that we're still kind of working on. Parts of that being donated. And you'll see kind of, our goal is obviously to make it very aesthetically tied in, pleasing to the eye there. There will be in some of these large blocks some logos, some signage that will identify these different sections.
I do have a question about that. Do the garage doors have to be so far apart, or could they be closer together?
They're two separate rooms.
Right, can they be arranged so that they're closer together, but they are still, I understand they're separate rooms, but I'm just curious. I guess not, I'm not looking inside the building to know. Sure. I have a reason for asking that. I'll show you, but when you want me to, tell me when you want me to.
It's, there's actually 3 rooms in that space. And for them to get much closer, they're not gonna be in the rooms.
Right, I guess I'm just thinking arrange it so that wherever they need the garage door, flip-flop it. I don't know if you can do that, I'm just asking.
Do you think that would, and again, we're working
I
with the
can show you
architect.
why. It doesn't make sense unless I show you why, but,
Okay, we definitely can do that afterwards or unless,
okay. I have pictures, though.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
And there's-
definitely share those with Jonathan,
Okay.
and we can work with the architect. I think
Is
what
there-
we're doing here is trying to capitalize on space.
Yes.
You know, if you put them in certain areas, then you're going to lose the functionality of the lab space itself, whether it's
Yeah,
storage of
I'll-
materials, equipment, supplies, et cetera. So
Right.
if what you're proposing, I think, still allows for that, definitely is worth consideration.
It's minor. I
Okay,
promise, it's
all
minor.
right.
But
Yeah.
the only reason I'm asking is because that traditionally was the front of the building, and so now it's garage doors and a metal building, and so I was a little bit disappointed about that. But I understand why. I understand everything. But I found garage doors that are cool instead of ugly. And they are awesome. And they are very safe because they have this rotation thing. They open on this kind of a track,
Okay.
rotation thing, so they would never fall on someone. Anyway, that's why I'm asking.
Okay, okay. I
So
mean,
I emailed this to you.
yes, yep,
And a
yep.
little video showing how they work.
Yep, and we definitely will take a look at that.
But you didn't
for
have
sure.
enough time.
I did not have enough time to look at it. Okay, Sue did.
Did you
I
see
mean,
it?
the only thing I
Are they
will
cool?
agree is that it is so hard to think of that, because this is where I see as the front of the building.
That's what I thought.
Sure.
And
too.
and with it not being, I understand why, totally get it, but boy, that's an eyesore look.
That's what-
It is
that's what
so industrial, and I guess that's okay too.
But you know
I-
what? This is so cool because you actually see the fire truck inside, and it's actually really
Cha-ching,
pretty.
cha-ching, cha-ching.
And
Yeah.
no, no,
I
no,
don't know.
no, I
Sometimes
think
we
it's-
don't.
It's hard
I
because these are
think
just
they're more
renderings,
money.
but.
I'm not positive, but I don't think they're more money because you don't have to have all the weight and the infrastructure on the ceiling to carry those big, huge doors. And these are supposed to be able to open, I can't remember, it said 3 million times? I can't remember how many times, with no upkeep. And that is not how it is for those other ones. They're constantly breaking. And this would allow,
Maybe we can
like,
keep the aesthetic as we keep moving forward.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm all about what does it look like?
So
Okay.
we've talked about, it is a metal building, but the plan is to cover it with drive-it. And
don't know
so
what that
it's.
The whole
it's-
thing?
mhm.
Oh,
It's
wow.
it only
It's a
has stucco,
concrete
like
stucco
concrete.
exterior.
So it
Yeah.
will look like the other building.
Mhm.
It's not
Wow.
gonna be a metal building next to,
I didn't
pretty
realize
building.
that.
Right.
So-
That's a lot more money than my doors.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right now.
It will
I mean, just
be
to
a bit of
defend
a
myself
charge,
a little.
but we want to make it aesthetically pleasing
Yeah, right.
and, you
And I
know.
mean, ours could be the coolest looking one.
Yeah. The problem is too, I think, is you can't really identify the front because all these are access drives essentially. I mean, you've got one that cuts through to the mall, you got one that cuts through Home Depot to the other side of the mall. And then this path that runs from the theater to, you know, what's it, yeah, the apartment. So those are just access roads, it's not really a street.
Street,
And
yeah.
And so we're
I know.
redefining what that space looks
We just
like.
need
and
huge signs.
We will bring
Huge signs.
signage to the building itself and then around the perimeter as well. And so it'll just be a little bit of a mindset, yeah.
Just changing it. It looks, I think that front end where the loading is would be fine. It looks good. It will look good.
It will look way cooler with these. Here, you gotta-
We'll definitely take those. The only other thing I thought about putting those close together is just, you know, logistics, okay, in the event that there are, you know, two that need to unload and unload, you know, to have enough space to back in a semi, back in a truck.
And they
stuff
don't
like
have
that.
to be close together, but I just see in these pictures they are, but
Okay.
yeah, I just wondered.
Absolutely, absolutely.
but
We'll definitely take a
Whatever
look.
looks good.
Sure, yeah,
I
no.
mean,
we-
when we designed when I was designing our house, I'm like, this is what I want it to look like. And they're like, you're gonna lose the whole bedroom.
I
I'm
just
like,
wanna see
that's fine. That's what I want it to look like.
Yeah. So we're spending a lot of time on the aesthetics, on the metal addition there, plus the rest of the building. But inside, we've already started, the architect is starting with his engineering team, you know, to work on the mechanical, HVAC, the plumbing, electrical.
I saw some trailers sitting out there. Are those them? Is there somebody physically there now? There's a bunch of trailers sitting in the parking lot.
Oh, can we park our trailers there?
Maybe those are
It's,
not,
no.
well, I wondered that
No,
too.
they should not be.
And I thought, you know, because
That's
every
way
time I drive by there, I get excited
double
about what's
check.
going
Yeah,
on.
no, we haven't
There are
bid
some
this, we
trailers
haven't brought it to
sitting
you
there.
at
Yeah,
all.
no.
Really? So
Yeah,
those
on
are
the
just-
front side, it's a big white, like a construction, not.
All we had to do is
tool
just tell the
kinda
Chubbuck
trailer.
police to go put a sticker on it.
Right.
There you go.
Anyway. okay,
Jonathan will
well,
look into that.
Yes, yes, we'll do. And next month, we'll bring back, you know, the floor plan and the overall plan, and we'll make sure we label that and show that progression there.
Awesome.
there's our little update.
You're on this.
Okay,
Esther?
okay.
So maybe this will kind of lead into kind of a segue, but
Yes.
with the new funding that was awarded by the state for CTE, is that how, I mean, I guess that's a future conversation on how all that's
Good.
going to filter through, and what does that mean? Is that, anyway.
So, actually tomorrow, we're, Dr. Howell and several, Carl and Brendan and several of us are going to ISU, and we'll have all day to talk about these legislative bills and priorities. CTE is one of them, classified, certified, plant facility dollars. Yes, so we have many questions.
Okay.
We have more questions than answers at this point, but tomorrow we are going to be
Enlightened.
enlightened, I was gonna say
I was
educated.
thinking inundated, but
Inundated, yes.
I'm positive.
Yeah.
I like enlightened. Yes.
Tomorrow it's called the Post-Legislative Tour, so Superintendent Critchfield and her finance team, our legislative team, they were in Idaho Falls today. They'll be to ISU tomorrow for our region. It's one of those, the trainings that we just never miss, because it will give us a lot of information on help us to prepare our budgets and bring them to you on recommendations, help us to start negotiations and so forth like that.
And is it something that we would go to, or just you as administration?
Typically not. I think you might have even got an email from the ISBA saying maybe one of you maybe could have gone, but it's a pretty packed house with just district office staff. But the handouts are online if you'd like to. Yeah.
We can make sure that next year, a couple of you, if you're interested in going.
Yeah, if it's pertinent to, I just don't know how to do a budget. I don't know what goes into it, so it seems like it would be really informative, but
Sure.
I don't.
Just have that legislative roadshow update for after they go.
Correct, yeah, we'll
The handouts and stuff.
we'll
Mhm.
definitely
That'd
have
be
you the updates there.
Yeah.
So again, since it's the budget season, and we're starting in our, all of our administrators and cabinet members are putting into their budgets, the one we need to talk about is kind of a draft budget for ESSER 3. And so as a reminder, this is from the federal dollars to help curb the COVID and prepare for the COVID pandemic. Again, this money has to be spent by obligated by September 30th of '24. So we have all of next school year. And so the amount of money, if as you work through it from the top to the bottom on this sheet, again in gray, is our discretionary money. And as of the beginning of April 3rd, we had roughly $5.2 million. And then in the peach color, for learning loss, we had $2.8 million. And that's kind of, as you work your way down, in the peach are those that qualify for learning loss, and then the kind of that gray, the white, is the discretionary dollars. Again, in the two different columns is, as we're finishing out this fiscal year 2023, and then the right-hand column there is next school year. Again, just a budget on what we have done there. Again, it's divided into 8 categories for our survey that was required to use this ESSER 3 dollars, and kind of the priorities that should be given. So again, as we kind of go through there, you can look and see, maybe starting with the word learning loss. Again, we're using both curriculum, programs, and instructional staff to help kind of beef up with that learning loss, and kind of help that in the different schools address learning loss there. And so you can see how we propose to use that, $2.8 million there.
So if I'm
Take it.
understanding, if you can help me,
Please.
if I'm understanding so at the beginning of the fiscal '23, we had 5 million of discretionary.
That's actually as of April.
Oh, of April,
3rd.
okay.
Yep.
And so as I'm going down the 2 columns, if I'm only looking at '23, all the numbers on the left-hand side is what has been committed but not paid yet?
That is correct.
So
That
these
is-
are all still left
Yep.
to be paid out.
Correct. So we have 3 months of some salaries there. We will spend a large amount on some supplemental materials on that K-5 ELA adoption that we just went through. And we'll get
Are
some,
we gonna find the total of that soon?
we have that.
Oh, okay. I can just ask later. That's okay. We don't.
We,
have to-
yes, I
ask
can,
later.
I can guess, and I'm going to be somewhat close to within a couple 100,000, but yeah, we can definitely do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And then are you expecting by the end of our 23 fiscal year, we will have spent all that's committed, and anything that doesn't, will it roll into
Then it will,
24?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, it'll,
Are any of these, I mean, is this what we expect?
correct, yeah, this
We're
is,
almost done with 23.
yep, this is what we
There's a lot
anticipate.
here that isn't spent yet. Is it just because we've committed it and we just haven't written the check?
Yes, that is correct. It's just, we plan on spending it, and we'll plan on spending the next, 2.5, 3 months.
Can I ask also?
Sure.
It looks like at the top, the discretionary on the first 2023, it says 5 million, and then at the bottom, it says 1 million something. Is that meant to be going down, and that's what would be spent in 2023? And this, I guess.
Or we have
kind of
yet
just-
to
So,
then what-
yes,
then the
yes,
rest
and
is rolled over.
for the rest of this, yep, the rest of the school year, we anticipate spending, 1.3 million. And then for next school year, the 6.7, 6.8 million.
And
And that's
that-
the total of both the discretionary and the learning loss at the top.
I see.
Gotcha.
Does that kind of
That makes sense.
put it in perspective there? Again, some programs, some staffing. Again, we've already started in 2 of our auditoriums to get some more sound in there, and those are Century, okay, Highland, thank you. And they sound amazing. And so that we actually will be paying that here in the next week or 2.
Feels like a Band-Aid, but I know that's what we needed to do.
Yes.
Sure. And it's all new, yeah,
I guess
brand
it's
new
equipment that could be moved to a new, if we
Correct.
move that direction.
Yep.
It's not,
Yeah.
Yep.
Not permanent, yes, it can be moved.
And seats could also be
But
moved.
it's
Yep.
night and day difference.
Really?
With what we, yeah.
awesome, that's great.
Correct.
That's exciting. I wish I could have gone to the play. I couldn't go.
Yeah. So again, as you go through there, again, remaining for this year, I guess for next year, I'd like to kind of focus on a few things. Again, we'll have some, the Chromebook replacement for our learners.
Keep track those 9 cents there.
I know. Well, I wanted to balance to
There,
zero.
there you go.
Yeah, so that, you're right, I did put extra in there. Again, some more licenses and so forth. Again, the learning loss, curriculum, and staffing. As you kind of go down there in number 5, again, there is a limited window which we plan on using to upgrade some wiring and our devices for security. Probably starting at our high schools and working down, but wanting to do that in obviously phases. And so we'll plan on spending some of that ESSER money there. Again, going down for next year, there's a few of our schools, our elementary schools that didn't get some playground equipment this first round, and we're evaluating to see, because that's great use of this one-time ESSER money. We're looking at some outdoor activity seating, again, social distancing at some of those fields there. Going in that last column, looking at some modulars, some elementary modulars, looking at working, to see where our needs are for possibly some additional classrooms. And then we will be spending some of this money on our PV Tech building as we reconfigure those. as well.
That's supposed to be $1 million, correct?
It is.
Yeah, that one doesn't have the depth.
You're right,
Adjustment.
that's a formatting.
$1,000.
Yeah, my commas,
$1,000.
yeah, no, yeah, the
Throw that
decimal,
number out to the architect.
yeah. The commas are correct, and so, yep, it just didn't have
That's-
it's a formatting
Looked like
here.
$1 million to me.
But yep, it is $1 million, yeah, yep.
No,
Just
you're-
drop the cents there.
And just, none of this parking lot is coming out of this?
No, no, no.
Okay.
No, correct. Again, you can see some HVAC upgrades at Wilcox. We're actually working on Washington right now and getting that ready for the fall as well. So, any questions? Again, this is a livable, moving document. We can bring that. I think we normally do kind of bring it back in the late fall, so you kind of look and see on where we're at there.
So I'm thinking, I mean, she mentioned parking lot. Is Downards, I guess we can't talk about that because it's not on the agenda. I mean, that's done, complete?
The Downward building is down. Yep, we're working with the city. Actually just met with them our architect met with the city last week on their requirements for stormwater retention. We have to put little bit of greenery in our parking lot. And so we're working on that, and that'll be a summer project. And that bid will come to you in May.
Okay, good. Thanks,
Great.
Jonathan.
Thank you.
Carl? Blue Cross?
All right, things are slowly coming together, and they will pick up steam starting tomorrow.
Yes, they will.
But you can't believe it's that time of year again, right?
That's right. That's right. One of the big unknowns, and typically on our own insurance plan, we'd know at the beginning of the month or right after spring break kind of where we're at. And we'd be having this debate between the bunch of us right now saying, what are we going to do to our plan to make it affordable? And that's about kind of nice not having to deal with that this year. And so what we do have now is some data for you to just kind of give you an idea where we're going with the state insurance plan. They released some information this week, and the insurance plan, and let me put this in perspective. Typically, if we were looking at a double digit or somewhere like that percent increase, we would kind of be gasping amongst ourselves, saying, what can we do to get this closer to, we always loved zero, but that was out of the realm of reality. But, 7.5%, 6%, 5%, 8%, somewhere in that range. Blue Cross is going to actually go up 9% this year, statewide. So that's the cost for the employer, so the district. And on the dental side, it's actually going to go up 61.6%.
Holy cow.
So it was quite a jump. Went from $19 a month to $31 a month. And when we had Delta Dental, our monthly premium per employee was in the $35 range. So this is kind of catching up to
Now,
Delta Dental.
Does it include orthodontics, the new one?
There is a little bit of orthodontics in there, if I remember correctly.
Because I wonder if that's why there's a big increase, because I know the
I-
city did that. They added orthodontics.
Well,
and
this
it-
that wouldn't have been an add-on to this one.
I'm not
so-
saying that this is the same as the city, I'm just
Yeah.
saying that's why theirs went up a lot.
And I couldn't see anything on their little cover sheet that they sent out with this on what might be causing that. I'm just making some assumptions that, additional people took additional opportunities to go to the dentist, and so additional costs mean additional premiums required. But, to the general fund to cover that increase, which is about $92 per employee per month, PEPM, it'll be an additional $1.06 million to the general fund. And you add that 61% of or the Blue Cross Dental is $138,000. So you look at the two of those together, it's about $1.3 million, 1.3 million dollars. The good news is the state set us sufficient funds through the entitlement that we should be able to cover that plus have additional for other needs.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's the good
And so
news.
so the Blue Cross Dental is less expensive than the Delta was? Is that why the switch? Is that why?
We're not, no, it's still going to be Blue Cross Dental, not
Oh,
Delta
So
Dental.
you're not switching from?
No, that's still
Oh,
Blue Cross
it's
Dental.
already-
I did happen to talk to the Delta Dental representative today, and they are going to bid next go-around.
Delta will?
Yeah,
I see.
so,
Do we do vision?
Vision is already part of the
Oh,
medical
part.
plan, so we don't even budget for vision right
Gosh,
now.
not many people get vision, that's nice. That's
And,
really
yeah,
nice.
I haven't used I haven't used the benefit, but I've heard that it's very similar to the vision service plan that we already had. So, the benefit's just a little bit different, but it's still through VSP. As far as, the employees' cost, the employee cost for PPO and traditional will stay the same.
Wow.
If they're on the high deductible plan, there will be no cost to the employee for their portion. From what it looks here, they're trying to push people to go to the high deductible plan. And in fact, they have even offered to, if you are on the high deductible plan, you can get into an HSA or health savings account. We run ours through American Fidelity. The state has their own provider.
So is that just a pre-tax?
So it's much like a flexible spending account, cafeteria plan, but this HSA has other stipulations on it. But if you are on an HSA or a high deductible plan and have an HSA, the state will contribute up to $1,000 per employee per year if you're a family, or $500 per year if you're just single.
And then can the individual families make up that difference?
Yes.
Isn't max like 6,500 or something?
Yep,
So they can make up the difference if they want to put 5,000 pre-tax, right?
exactly.
Okay.
So we will have to change our deductions a little bit. So if they have those codes, we can contribute to them as part of the district's cost. So the cost that we would normally put towards the premium would be reduced to reflect that that amount of those amount of dollars we're putting into their HSA. So it comes out in the wash that way. But other than that, most of the plan for medical will go up for a family, $2, $5, $11. The most I can see on here is about $40, which is, better than we've had in the past, where it's gone up $90 or $100 a month. But there will be a few changes in the plan as well. Some of the co-pays will change, and we don't have a lot of the details there yet, but they are going to change some of those plans. And we will have more for you in a month or so, because we are going to open up open enrollment here in 2 weeks, and we will have a pretty good idea of how many employees we might have a drop or add. And as we've had this conversation with you before, we'll have to have a determination of which plan design we're going to go with, whether we're going to pay for those who only participate, which is at a higher cost. We've talked about the ghosts, and see, we've already run the kind of a scenario today to see where that break-even point is, and we're still above that, where we pay for the ghosts. So that's still there, but over the next several weeks, we'll find out if that's really still the case. So we'll have that discussion in a month or so, whether we go with one plan design or the other. And it'll all come out as we start having discussions with you about budget, the revenues, expenses. We are going to be anticipating being protected this year, just so you know, because they're going back to ADA rather than ADM.
Oh,
So we anticipate 20 units fewer this year than we had for the current year, or for
So
next
that
year than we
just
have for the current year.
did just expire and nothing new came.
Say that again, sorry.
The State Board of Education had extended that after the COVID years.
For the
And so,
1 year.
yeah, and so I think they'll even have to do something to get us through July, because, we go through May or June, one or the other.
Through June, yeah.
Through June, yeah.
Some of that stuff happens in the background with them, kind of doesn't make a lot of sense to me, so I'm glad it's them doing it and not me. But yeah, the rules are finicky that way, so. But yeah, over the next several weeks, we'll have some more discussions with you, but just looking at the data right now, it doesn't look too bad in the way of what we're getting from the state.
Great.
And of course, negotiations is going to be in the middle of this as well, so we'll have that conversation with you as well.
When do
on
those
that.
start? I can't remember.
Brenda has reached out to the Education Association, and we haven't firmed up a date yet, but we hope early May. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is public comment. There, I haven't got any. So we can conclude this meeting. And I declare the meeting adjourned.
Hit your
I move. Oh, okay. All right, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Great.